Hello everyone, my name is Sagar Vazare from ENH iSecure Private Limited. Today we are discussing about identity deletion by using PowerShell script in SailPoint IdentityNow. The main agenda of this presentation is to delete identities from SailPoint in order to manage active identities in SailPoint. In coming slides, let's discuss an prerequisites of identity deletions and required REST APIs and how to schedule PowerShell script and its benefits. Coming to next slide, let's discuss about introduction part. Looking into identity deletion, first we should understand lifecycle state of the user, which plays an important role in identity now. A lifecycle state describes a user status in a company. By default, with identity now, we have active and inactive lifecycle state. Let's consider when an active employee takes an extended leave of absence from a company. His or her lifecycle state may change to inactive. For a security purpose, the inactive employee would lose access to all applications, sources, and the sensitive data during the leaves of absence. But when employee returns and come to active again, all that access would be restored. Based on the client, we can add number of lifecycle states and achieve required lifecycle state to manage access across the organization. For example, terminated lifecycle state, rehire lifecycle state, 30 days post termination lifecycle state, 60 days post termination lifecycle state, and so on. This will be vary based on the client. When user leaves an organization, all of their access and accounts are disabled and they have not to be a part of organization for a while. Post 30 days of the termination, HR will remove accounts from the root source. Still, identities are present in tenant due to disable of account deletion from the tenant. Due to that, identity now continues to keep their user information in SailPoint. It puts more of the burden on the tenant, extends aggregation time, and to complete identity refresh, it took lots of time to perform. In order to maximize usability of the tenant, we must delete those identities from the sale points. Since we did not expect users to keep their information in sale point for a long period of a time. Let us see some of the lifecycle state that are generally used in SailPoint identity now. As part of this slide, we can see some of the lifecycle states to understand JML process in short. Joiner, mover, and leaver is a key HR process in every organization. It's HR process of handling employees from the perspective of joining the organization, moving the departments and areas, and leaving the organization. Essentially, lifecycle state of the employee. When user joins organization, user lifecycle state must be active. According to the different conditions, lifecycle state is auto-assigned to the user and gives limited access that are entitled with the lifecycle state. When user is on long leave, LOA or inactive lifecycle state is assigned. When user has left the organization, then user lifecycle state change to terminate or 30 days post termination. This will be vary based on the client. If the same user is rehired in the organization, then user lifecycle state must be rehired. Let us see prerequisites which is required in SailPoint identity now. As part of the prerequisites, we require client ID and the client secret, which is the primary requirement of the script. To authenticate and authorize SailPoint IdentityNow tenant to perform different tasks such as searching and deleting identities. Also, we require IQ service server where our PowerShell script will be placed and will be scheduled via Windows Task Scheduler. Let us see about short information about IQ service server in next slide. The IQ service server, also known as integration service, is a native Windows service that allows IdentityNow to participate in Windows environment and access the information exclusively accessible via Windows API. It is a small service that must be deployed on any supported Windows server that has access to the target systems you wish to manage in IdentityNow. It also safeguards all communications flow in and out for the server. Even at critical period, overall solution, security and data integrity will be ensured. We can run many instances on the same service and the machine. Let us see requirement of the same use case in the SailPoint. As part of this slide, we will understand the requirement of executing this PowerShell script to delete identities automatically and understand how it can be achieved via PowerShell script. The requirement is all identities in 30 days post termination lifecycle state will be deleted from IdentityNow. The identity deleted would be reaggregated in the next aggregation cycle as uncorrelated accounts in target applications and hence would not be affect the new hire creation logic, and the same account name would remain unique as per the requirement and the logic definition. A PowerShell script will be developed to call APIs to identify all the identities in the required lifecycle state, that is 30 days post termination. This will be vary based on the client and will deleted those accounts from the HRMS source from the identities. Let us see required SailPoint REST APIs to achieve this requirement in IdentityNow. In this slide, we can discuss required SailPoint REST APIs which is needed to achieve identity deletion. First, we require authentication API. For this, client ID and the client secret base URL is used to generate access token, also called bearer token, for the next operation. The second API is search API, which is used to fetch particular source 30 days post termination lifecycle state identities from the tenant. For this, we need to develop search query so that it will fetch only in that particular source 30 days post termination lifecycle state identities. Third one is the delete API, which is used to delete those identity which will be fetched via search API. Let us understand the use case diagram in the next slide. This is the use case diagram for the identity deletion and the workflow. Here we can understand lever process because we are deleting the identity of the user who left the organization. First stage in this procedure is to be beings with a HRMS source where HR will enter freshly recruited users information. The new user is onboarded in SailPoint and the identity is created in tenant following the source aggregation. The user lifecycle state is assigned based on the user joining date and the start date. When user quit the organization, HR will update user end date and the termination date in the truth source and the gives individual new lifecycle state based on the end date. For example, terminated or 30 days post termination. This will be vary based on the client requirement. We may schedule the PowerShell script to retrieve all these identities in 30 days post termination lifecycle state from the SailPoint and deleted those identity based on the client requirement. Let us understand how the script will delete those identities via PowerShell script and how APIs is used in script in the next upcoming slides. We can see the sample script structure as part of this slide. For all scripts, PowerShell script has a setup part, helper functions and the PowerShell commands. In setup section, we can write entire script description and what is the objective of script, so that when a fresh individual looks at the script, he or she understand why the script was created and how it works. We may also specify log file directory, timestamp and the debug value as part of the setup. In helper function, we can write our executable code to achieve the requirement. Helper function supports the all functionality of the PowerShell by using PowerShell commands. Let us see the first step of script execution. This is the first step of the script. When the script is triggered, it will first read the required information from the property file to perform the next search and the delete API call. We keep client IDs, client secret, base URL, search queries, log file path, identity deletion limit and the debug value as part of the property file. As you can see in the slide, the script stores variables that are in respect and they use further operations where they need to use. Let us understand first access token generation REST API call in the next slide. After reading the data from property file, second step is generate access token. As part of this, get access token function will execute to generate access token, also called bearer token. To get access token, we use authentication API. For that, we require client ID, client secret and the client base URL. Once this API is executed, it will generate access token and the stored in access token variable. As you can see in this slide, same access token we can use for the next API called search API. Let us see the third step, search API, in the next slide. This is the third step after access token generation. Search API function will execute by using same access token. Search API is able to fetch identities from the SailPoint. As part of the search API, the search query is required to fetch particular source 30 days post termination lifecycle state identities from the SailPoint, which we can define in search query field in the search body variable. We can pass the search query which is read from the property file, so that it is very important to write proper search query in the property file. Once this API is executed, all identities are stored in the search result account variable. Those identities we can pass one by one to delete API for the deletions. As you can see in the slide. Let us see the delete API in the next slide. This is the fourth step. After search API call, the delete API function is executed. To delete one by one identities, we use for each loop to fetch one by one identities in search result accounts variable from the search API and the pass one by one identity to the delete API, which delete identities from the SailPoint tenant. When delete API is executed, all the fetched identities will be deleted from the SailPoint. As part of the script, we can perform these operations. But to automate the script, we need to schedule same script in IQ Service Server. In next slide, we can learn about how to schedule the script in IQ Service Server by using Windows Task Scheduler. In above slide, we can learn how the script will delete the identities Now we can automate the script so it will run automatically in IQ Service Server. To automate the same process, we will require Windows Task Scheduler to schedule the script. Before going to automate the script, we can understand what is the Windows Task Scheduler and its functionality of it. Basically, Windows Task Scheduler is a built-in utility in Microsoft Windows operating system that allows you to automate and schedule the task to run at a specific time or in the response of creation event. It enables you to perform various actions such as running programs, scripts, or the batch files at the predetermined interval or when the specific conditions are met. Task Scheduler is a commonly used for automating the routing, maintenance tasks, running the backup files, and the making the useful tools for managing and optimizing computer operations. Let us understand how to schedule script in the daily as part of the upcoming slide. First step of the task scheduler is to open Windows Task Scheduler as administrator in IQ Service Server as shown in the slide. Select Task Scheduler Library and in Action section menu choose Create Task. We can see the same in right side windows of the slide. It will open the new task for the schedule. Let us move to the second step. This is the second step in which in general section we can enter a name of this task and provide the valid description of the task and select security option as run whether is logged or not and click on OK. Let us see the third step. This is the third step. In this we can define trigger or the schedule criteria when the script will execute or trigger. According to the client requirement, we can schedule the script daily, weekly or monthly basis at which time in the trigger section tab. According to the requirement, we can add time at which script will execute as part of the trigger. Click on the OK. This is the fourth step. In this, we can add PowerShell.exe file path by browsing the computer. In Add Argument section, we can pass our identity deletion PowerShell script path and click on. This is the fifth step. Once all required details adding, click on the OK. After, new task scheduler window will be open. To confirm the task where it will ask to give administrator credential to generate task. Once all the process is done, we can see task is generating and the showing in task scheduler. It will trigger the task when all the trigger details are matched and the details of the deleted identities can be seen in the log files. Let us see benefits of the use case. This is the last slide of the presentation. Here we can see benefits of identity deletion from SailPoint tenant. It will increases usability of the tenant. Also, it will decreases aggregation and identity refresh process time. Also, it will fast test the backend processes and reduce the unwanted identity handling. These are the benefits. If you have any question, comment on this. Please subscribe ENH Socials for more technical updates. Thank you.